Okay, so when you're in one of these situations, generally there's two fellas, and what you want to do is have a lot of communication between the driver, which is the operator of the tractor, and the guy that'll be on the ground doing all the hooking and procedures of that sort to help get you out of the situation. The guy that is in the tractor seat has basically driven himself into a situation that we're going to have to be winched out of. So he's going to probably have the most knowledge of what it is we're about to try and do. And what he needs to be doing is assessing, you know, where we're going to winch to, which direction we need to try to winch to. He's going to decide whether we're going to go straight ahead because hard ground is closer than trying to turn around and get back to where you came from. And these are the situations that typically your driver is going to know. All right, so basically in this scenario, Rocky is now stuck in the right of way, okay? So I'm going to approach, got off, walking up to him. Are you in park?
Park right on.
Foot off the clutch. Thing good. Okay, this is electric, so we don't necessarily need the tractor running to operate it, so you can shut it down. Okay, so everything's secure. I'm gonna walk around, kind of checking. You know, there is some trash in here, so I want to get that out. So you're looking to make sure that your anchor points and things of that nature will absolutely not come down and touch the line. If in some instance that your rate of pull is greater than what your anchor point is you know, capable of handling. And these are the kind of things you have to be looking for. Escape routes and things of that nature, and absolutely making sure that the ground guy is in a safe position at all times and the equipment is always in park or shut down and your foot is off the clutch ready for a guy to be in front of you operating. Okay, so typically when you're in this situation, you're always going to have on a long sleeve shirt because you're usually spraying. You're going to need gloves because the cable does have burrs and things in it, and the gloves will protect your hands. Absolutely boots. They don't have to be snake boots. Some guys do prefer them. You will be walking in brush and things of that nature, so you need to be looking for holes and stuff. So a good quality pair of steel-toed boots is a must. Hard hat and your safety glasses. Always when winching, there's a potential for flying objects. Hard hats aren't always required, but if the customer requires them on their property, then you need to have your hard hat on. Okay, so whenever you dismount, the tractor's in park, your driver's got his hands off all the controls, the tractor's been deemed safe. Basically, you will walk around to the front of the tractor, inspect your spool. At this point, what you want to do, preferred option would be to put the winch in the free spool and pull your cable out to your anchor point. In the event that the free spool is, you know, wound up so tight that you can't engage the free spool, or you have a tensioner on your winch that physically will not allow a man to pull the free spool off, you would then have to re-engage the winch back into the pull, and you would have to step away, allow the driver to put the tractor in its safest position at a running operation that the guy could get back in front and spool the winch under power. Hopefully you'll be free spooling. You're going to pick out the closest object to you that looks like it's sturdy enough and physically big enough to handle what you're about to do. You definitely want to assess and make sure that if the anchor point comes down, it would not hit the line. So you would want to pull your wire rope in the direction of the closest proximity of which way you want to go. If you are trying to turn your vehicle around, you would not want to go at a straight angle. You would want to make short, smaller turns. So you would probably go out at like a 30-degree angle to your left or right to start turning the vehicle. Otherwise, you would want to go as slight an angle as possible to winch straight ahead. If your anchor point is another piece of equipment or another tractor or track machine, that machine you need to make sure everyone is clear of, only the operator is on it, and that machine is either off or in park or, you know, absolutely in a stable position. If you have a bank or something to park on the back side of, is preferable. So whenever you get to the anchor point that you wish to use, you'll either use a heavy grade chain, or we prefer a winching strap. You would actually put that strap around the anchor point and then connect your hook to that strap. And you absolutely, under no circumstances, ever anchor point to any power line, pole, or structure of any kind. So now that you're hooked up to your anchor point, what you'd want to do is go back to the tractor, and you would engage the winch into the pulling position. And basically you'd want to stand clear as the operator between you and him is signaled to start tightening up the cable. At this point, once the cable is snug, you'd want to introduce a dampener to the wire rope. And at that point, you would want to be opposite side of the angle that this thing is about to pull, at least a minimum distance of 20 feet to stay clear. It can be greater than 20 feet. We actually encourage it to be more than 20 feet, but a minimum of 20 feet when the pressure is applied to the winch cable. You want at least a minimum of 5 wraps on the winch spool to ensure that you're not going to pull it loose. On electric winches, you do have remote control. The remote control has typically got about a 10-foot leash on it. So if a single operator is up there by himself, can actually work the control from the front safely. When not in use, you absolutely want to always disconnect that remote control that way, and just in case of failure of the remote control or shortage or a short going on, that it doesn't start powering the winch. Always familiarize yourself with the controls before you do any kind of winching. Most of our tractors are basically set up just alike, but when you go from electric to a hydraulic winching setup, those controls are different and they do react differently. Electric does not have to be under power to operate. Hydraulic does. All right, guys, is there any questions on that? You can see clearly, I walked up to the winch thinking I was going to free spool it out of there. Clearly did not happen, right? Automatically my mind's thinking, oh shoot, here we go. You know, this ain't what I planned on. I got to start changing the way I do stuff. You know, you got to automatically adapt to the situation. In this case, I really believe it's that tensioner has so much tension that you just can't physically pull it past the tensioner. So it looks like on this particular piece of equipment, you're going to have to, you know, power it out and power it in each time.
What would say, you know, Zach do if he's out there? He's by himself.
Well, that's why that controller's on a leash, so he can stand there and operate it himself. But you know, clearly he's going to have to run it out, put the controller down, pull the slack out. Yeah, absolutely. Communication is the key here. In most operations where there's multiple people, communication is the key. So everybody hear that? Kenny's saying, you know, when scope of work changes, communicate with the guy. Don't just jump off and, hey, pull the cable. Explain to him what he's about to do. Explain to him what the guy that's in charge is in his brain, so that everybody's on the same page. You don't have a guy going to a different tree or, you know, too sharp of an angle or whatnot, you know, and everybody's communicating. 2 minutes of communication is much better than, you know, 10 days out, broke up, hurt, damaged equipment. You know, take the 2 minutes to communicate. It's absolutely worth the time. You know, you got to overcome some of these obstacles, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And we're going to do it the right way.
This requires some thinking.
It requires thinking. If anybody could do it, then anybody would be out here. All right. Are we good, guys? Let's go to work.